What's going on, Broncos country? AJ back here with some more Broncos talk, and got some interesting things to talk about. A little bit of a catch-up video of sorts. I really haven't had a chance to talk about some of these things, especially coming from yesterday. But either way, we're just going to jump right into it, and of course, we got a huge matchup coming up this weekend, Sunday specifically. And just as a reminder, we'll be live on YouTube and Twitch. A&J Network is where you want to be. So be here for that. Sunday, it's going to be it's actually going to be 10 minutes, anywhere from about a quarter to 10 minutes to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, here in Colorado. That's going to be about 12:45, 12:50. So look forward to that, and we're definitely going to have some fun. Come on through. It's going to be a good time, a damn good one at that. But in any case, we're going to go ahead, jump right into things. We got a particularly favorable matchup when it comes to the Patriots, and I'm looking at you, big old Will Campbell. I gotta say, I was blown away with how bad the O line looked when it came to guys like Daniil Hunter and, of course, Will Anderson. And I don't know what else to say other than it was actually disappointing. I mean, oddly enough, everyone else seemed to have looked good. In fact, Campbell here is about the only one who actually had a sub 50% or sub 50 pass rating grade, or pass blocker grade, excuse me, against the Texans, and that's really wild to say. I mean, of course, he doesn't have extraordinarily long arms. In fact, he actually has rather short arms for a left tackle, and it's going to be interesting if that's something that the Patriots end up sticking with. I don't see how they don't pick up another tackle to move that guy into left guard or maybe one of the guard positions. Who knows? But regardless, he got absolutely destroyed by that Hunter Anderson combination. I believe it was 5 sacks, and of course, 4 fumbles. 2 of them were lost, as I've mentioned before. You can't tell me that Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper aren't going to eat this dude up. I mean, they may actually come through with a game plan that helps him out, but the reality of it is I don't see a scenario where there's anything of a success rate in favor of Will Campbell to the point that it's going to be anything other than a Broncos win, at least in that particular category. It's really hard for me to believe that at this point. I don't really see Josh McDaniels coming up with a good enough scheme to help him out. It's going to be really interesting to watch. They may try to double team Benito, maybe even Cooper. I don't think that's necessarily going to work because you're going to open things up for guys like Zach Allen, JFM, and even when Jonah Ellis and Javondre or Dondre Tillman come in, what are they going to do? Seriously, what are they going to actually do against the Broncos pass rush? But nonetheless, we got to talk about an interesting signing that took place yesterday, which I got to say, I'm totally here for this. Welcome back to Broncos country, Brandon Johnson. I got to say, when I heard this, I actually raised my eyebrows like I'm raising them right now. And to be perfectly honest, it's understandably so. We're talking about a guy who has incredibly reliable hands. And with Troy Franklin being out with a hamstring injury, I feel like there's no way this dude isn't elevated to the 53-man roster for the game. I mean, I don't know how much cohesiveness or even chemistry he has with Jarrett Stidham. I imagine they have to have something because I'm pretty sure they've worked together, particularly in that first season under Sean Payton. I'd have to go back and look into that. But one thing that I would say for Brandon, even though he may not be the speedster necessarily that Troy Franklin or even a Narvin Mims is, he definitely gets wide open and he definitely catches the ball. You're not going to see him dropping anything. I mean, not like Court, not like Troy Franklin, as mentioned, certainly not like little Jordan Humphrey, even though he did redeem himself. And of course, Court did show up late in the game, but either way, I have a really good feeling with having Brandon Johnson in the lineup that we're actually going to cause the Patriots secondary problems. And I'll be perfectly honest, that secondary, as far as I'm concerned, just isn't overly impressive. They actually did a good job, but they actually capitalized on the success of the interior pass rush, not the outside pass rush, the interior, particularly Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, and I forget the other how to say the other guy's name, but all three of those defensive tackles they got are really damn good. But they're not going to really be as successful against the Broncos O line. That O line of the Texans, nothing remotely close to what the Broncos O line is. And we'll probably talk about this in another video here, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But with the guys we got coming back, I just don't see any shot that that interior rush is anywhere near as successful as they were against CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. I just don't see it. But in the case of Brandon Johnson, he's definitely going to have a lot to contribute as far as the receiving corps goes. It's going to be good to know that we'll have Pat Bryant back. He was actually 3 for 3 on passes thrown his direction up until going out with the concussion. Now, I am kind of concerned about that being a thing because if we're being perfectly honest, Pat Bryant has gone through that quite a few times this season, and fortunately he's going to be ready to go. I can understand why they held him out for precautionary reasons against the Bills, but he's got to be ready to go, but he's got to really keep from having that happen as much as it has this season. But with Brandon Johnson here, that's yet another security blanket that I feel really good about having back in the fold. With that being said, we actually got to talk about, of all people, Max Crosby. Yeah, this is a really interesting one. Why are we talking about Max Crosby? I mean, it's really laughable to think how many people are down on Jarrett Stidham. In fact, I don't see how they are at all, and I don't even know what the hell they're actually paying attention to, but it certainly ain't the correct shit. And if nothing else, anyone that I would trust more than a lot of people I've been hearing from, it would certainly be Max Crosby, former teammate with the Las Vegas Raiders, and he actually had some really interesting things to say about Jarrett Stidham. And in fact, we're going to go through that here real quick. And I quote, of course, "He's a great friend of mine, and he is a competitive individual. I witnessed him go against the San Francisco 49ers. I think it was week 17. We go against the 49ers in Vegas. He threw for like 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. And of course, I believe he goes on to say a couple of other things, but you know, just the fact that he's got that much of a ringing endorsement, here it is right here. That was one of the top defenses in the league at the time. He was out there slinging the ball, confident, breaking tackles. He's tough as hell, and I got to go against him in practice all the time because he was a scout quarterback." I mean, if that's not insight for you right there, I don't know what is. Because, again, if anybody knows, it's absolutely going to be this dude. Because he actually worked against him in practice. I mean, it was just crazy. He even goes on to say, "We got into it all the time because, you know me, I can't help myself. I'm hitting the backup quarterbacks every time. The one thing I respected about him being Stidham is that he didn't back down. He didn't back down whatsoever. He was talking shit back to me, and I was like, okay, I like this guy." What more needs to be said? What more needs to be said? Max Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders, of all people, ringing endorsement for Jarrett Stidham. And trust me, I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say this 1,000 fucking times. I'm going to trust his insight more than any of these other idiots that seem to want to talk out of the side of their fucking mouth about this man, Jarrett Stidham. I mean, they're just going to find out on Sunday. They're literally going to find out, and in all aspects. And so many people are already picking against the Broncos. In fact, Broncos are already 5.5 point favorites, which might be a little bit much. And if I'm able to, I can't wait to actually get an opportunity to bet on that, because oh my goodness, are the Broncos ever going to cover at the very least on that? But that's really neither here nor there. I just, again, feel like it's incredibly telling that when somebody like a Max Crosby is going to go out on a limb to say these kind of things about Jarrett Stidham, and he's not the only one either. There's actually a host of individuals that are speaking very highly of Jarrett Stidham, including Aqib Talib. But regardless, we'll let everything speak for itself when Sunday comes around. And that's really all I'm going to say there. That being said, let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with Max Crosby and others about this? Are you one of those idiots that are just Stidham sucks and all this bullshit? Let me know what y'all think down below. Of course, like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Hit that notification bell so that you know when content's coming through. And in the meantime, between time, this has been your time with A&J, and I appreciate you spending it with me.